I'm back with the man from down under. It is the UFC card collab 42. We have a lot to cover today. Stadium Club has leaked early. Some people, I don't know, Damian, they like bribed the postman or something. I don't know how they got these early. They're ripping them. So we'll look at some of those cards that have already surfaced. We have some massive, massive cards in 2025. Topps Royalty set to release. I kind of want to pick your brain. Like, do these cards make this year's Royalty a better buy than last year's? We have Rookie Radar, Waldo Cortez Acosta and Gene Silva fight this weekend. We'll talk about them and many, many more topics. Damian, good to see you again, man.
Yeah, awesome to see you again, Zach. We have a lot to talk about. Zach's brought the heat on the plate for this collab, as he always does. So, yeah, excited to talk about some of these topics with not only Zach, but the rest of the fans out there.
Yes, sir. As always, let us know in the comments what you think about these topics. We love, to hear your thoughts, to pick your brain as well. Oh, okay. So first up, we got Stadium Club, Damien, and it's coming out and it's coming soon. I don't know how people got these, and I really wish my boxes would have got here early because I'm excited with what I've seen. It was supposed to drop January 23rd. People are getting blasters there. I saw a case get ripped on Whatnot. I've seen Megas already get released, and we have some images. So let's check some of these out. I saw this and I was like, I gotta show this one to Damien, man. He's got the Thriller jacket on. What do you think about that?
I believe they should have reserved that card for Marab. I believe Marab still owns that jacket. So that should have been a Marab card. But yeah, still very, very, uh, a unique one. This may be the only O'Malley card we get with a Thriller jacket. So might be a fun one for O'Malley fans to chase.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is true. I'm gonna do a little bit more research before I get my box and we actually rip the box because we do have image variations within this checklist, and I believe one of the ways you can tell obviously is the image. But when it's this early and we don't know what images are which, I think the easiest way to tell is going to be that right there in the actual like card number on the back. So I'll do a little bit more research and have some more information with that as we break the product. But I saw a couple other cool ones, and man, the photography delivered. What do you think about some of the images that we're seeing here? I mean, to me, I really enjoy, and this is the triumvirates, right? So kind of an interesting die cut. It's the triple, so it kind of forms together in a puzzle. But some very, very interesting action shots and just shots from the cage. What do you think, man?
Yeah, loving the photography designs for Stadium Club so far, from what we've seen. But this is what we not only were sort of half expecting. This is what we were hoping for.
Yeah.
Traditionally, Stadium Club is these action shots from different sports, and this is the first time we're getting it from UFC. And so far, they've hit the nail on the head in terms of what I want to see on UFC cards, and I'm sure a lot of other people, including yourself. So yeah, they've done very very well, and hopefully it's something they can continue on.
Yeah, I've seen. I think it's a kind of a mixed bag, but I want to say generally from what I've been seeing online, in comments and just talking with other collectors, is that people are kind of receiving these well. So I'm happy about that. It's a cheaper price point. It is, a debut product as well, and people have been talking about the action shots for so long. So I'm happy that the consumer at least is happy with some of the images they're getting on these cards. I really wanted to pick your brain on this, Damien. So we have a retail component with this product, right? We haven't really gotten any retail this year besides 2025 Topps Finest. And just like a big macro view, what are your thoughts on products whenever we have hobbies and then when we have megas and blasters accompanying those releases? What do you think?
Yeah, well, definitely as a macro view, I think they're a good thing. Obviously, you want to have different entry points for different people. Not only people who have been collecting UFC cards for quite some time, but even people coming in on a newbie sort of entry level. You want to have different price levels, and obviously, when you're having retail products, when you're having them much more available, we're seeing these people pre-orders for hobby boxes. They go like that. Who knows who's getting most of them? The prices for those are getting hijacked as well by the second sellers on not only on eBay and also on some of these bigger trading card sites. But yeah, the entry level, I think, at a smaller price, some of these you're still getting autos, you're getting decent hits, and they're getting put out into retail stores like your Targets, your Walmarts, and it's making it more accessible for people who want to get in on entry level. And even you got to remember, like, there's a lot of younger folks, kids and stuff who are collecting these cards just for the simple fact of, collecting cards and not trying to chase value and things like that. So I think when we're having these retail products, I think they're only a good thing. what I do like about it as well, as you said, mentioned, we've had it for Finest early this year. They're not doing it for every product, which I also think is a good thing. You know, I think if they were doing it for every release, it would be an oversaturation. Yeah, we're already getting oversaturation with some of the other stuff, but I think if they do it with limited releases, you know, even if they do it half of the releases of the year, I think it's a good thing, definitely for the the trading card community for sure.
Yeah, I I pretty much agree with everything you said, and I am a little torn on this because part of me is, going to echo exactly what you said. More price points, you get these in, more hands of collectors, more people can have fun with this. Sometimes, you don't want to spend $130 on a product. You want to rip something. The blaster price on this is $25, which I think probably 20 should be where blasters are, and then I think that would be a somewhat of a fair rip for the consumer. 30 seems to be a little bit too much with almost every blaster that I've ever ripped personally. So I like that it's a little bit cheaper at 25. But, another part of me is kind of torn because it's like, well, we're also getting so many more unnumbered parallels, with these releases. What does that mean long term with print run? What does that mean with collectors that want to, complete different sets and complete rainbows? Like that's more that they have to chase. And in the Stadium Club, because there's a mega and because there is a blaster box, there are three more unnumbered parallels in this product. So that's like, I mean, how many cards is that added to this? Like maybe for each fighter, is that like 500? Is that like 1,000? Like it could, really bloat the product. But at the same time, I do like that people have more options. And also some of the exclusives might be, people's favorite cards. Like we have like the interesting like lava, we have, sepia orange. Like they just provide more of an assortment for people to choose and for people to figure out exactly what card they want to collect.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you hit the nail on the head there in terms of the problem being for collectors is the print runs at the moment. It is a checklist. It is the 300 fighter checklist, three-tiered systems. That's more of an issue, I think, than allowing retail product for some of the releases.
Yeah, so we got Orange Foil Mega, we got the Value Blaster, Sepia, and then we got X-Fractor and then Lava. I mean,
Mm.
so it's kind of a good and a bad thing at the same time. But also, Damian, I wanted to pick your mind on this. So they're not giving us guaranteed autos in the mega boxes, or at least from what I could find. I really think if you're going to be charging around that $50 price point, like that makes it very enticing for me. Like I remember when we had the finest last year, the guaranteed auto was like, oh, that's a no-brainer. Like that's a fun, and I think you could even bump it up to 55 or 60, and then that really becomes a nice sweet spot for people where you have very little invested in the box. Even if you skunk, you might get $20 worth. You only lost 40 bucks instead of, having to shell out for a hobby box to get autos. So what are your thoughts on them not having guaranteed autos in these megas?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think if you had one guaranteed auto um, for a $60 price tag, as you said, even if you want to bump the price up a little bit, I think that would have been much more enticing, and that would have made the decision a lot easier for a lot of people to buy into a mega box. But maybe they've done this strategically too. They want people to fork out for the hobby
Yeah.
instead of sort of cheaping out and getting the mega instead. But it'd be interesting to see if we have, you might know this a little bit more than I do, but if there's like mega box exclusives in terms of inserts and parallels. But yeah, I agree they should have done that, but I mean, from a business point of view, they've probably done that on purpose, as I said, because it is a cheaper hobby box.
Yeah.
They're trying to push the people towards the hobby instead of the mega.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you there. And we also have this though, man. Like for you, like you mentioned, $130 price point. If you hit this, man, you hit a Jon Jones Poatan Dual Auto, and there you hear the. I know you hear the rumblings. I know you have your ear to the street, and you're hearing the rumblings of potential Jon Jones Poatan White House fight. Dude, absolutely monster. And when I saw this, I was already excited for Stadium Club because I wanted to see the photography and stuff, and I just like the overall idea of it. But then to see this card, I was like, well, that's actually really interesting that you could hit this duel in particular, and it looks like it's on card auto in a $130 box. Like that's pretty sick.
Yeah, I'm surprised Jon Jones didn't fit the goat inscription on the bottom there for that 101. But what do we think? We're gonna. You want to speculate? What's this card worth? Running into the White House crowd, say
Ooh,
that that fight gets announced. What's this 101 worth for
ooh,
these
you're
guys?
putting me on the spot, man. I'd be listing this pretty high though. This is the only dual auto that we have of these guys, or it's the first one anyway. We may get more in other products. So this is the only one right now. If it's the only one whenever the White House card comes up, 101, Jon Jones, Poatan, they're potentially fighting. I think this could easily go above 5 to 10 grand. Personally. Now is somebody gonna pay that? I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised. What
Yeah,
do you
I
think?
reckon this is a five. This is a 550 card. I don't know why you're saying at four. I think this is a
Ooh, you saying
550
10
card.
plus? Nice.
Yeah, for sure. There'd be yeah. I mean, UFC is getting a bit of a buzz at the moment. Obviously, we're going to chuck in that White House card, and there's a lot of Pereira fans and there's a lot of Jon Jones fans.
It's
This one
true,
went
man.
on like a Fanatics auction. That's getting five figures at least for sure.
Nice, I love it. We can only hope, right? We can only hope that we get some massive sales out of $130 box. Like that would be absolutely insane. So I'm excited about Stadium Club to get my boxes and to rip them on the channel. Hopefully the people out there, you're at least enjoying what you see. And if not, that's cool. You know, there's such a variety of products for everybody to enjoy. Damian, we also have another product to talk about that's coming up pretty soon, and it is 2025 Topps Royalty. We already have some boxes online, and these are going to be expensive again, man. What are your thoughts on, just royalty in general, and then some of the leaks that we've seen?
Well, originally when Royalty came out last year, I was a little bit disappointed. I was hoping for Museum. I'm sure a lot of other older Tops heads were also looking for Museum. But you know what? Now that we've got it again, it was a very, very clean design last year. I've seen they've gone a little bit funkier this year.
Yeah,
I've seen obviously 8 cards per pack, 5 autos, 3 mem cards, which is kind of crazy to me. I think that's a little bit too much. But this is their premier product for the year, and 100 card checklist. I like that. I think that's what they need to be doing. Are we going to be getting specific relics in this product? I guess that's another one that
yeah,
collectors have been talking about since last year's release when they were non-specific. But I'm actually happy with it now. The more that we don't get museum, I think that for my collecting I guess, mentality, that's a good thing. So I kind of I don't mind royalty. I said they want to keep that as the premier product, have it as a small checklist. You're guaranteed absolute massive cards when you're putting some massive money in. So I think it's a good thing, and yeah, it brings a different sort of focus on UFC cards. As I said, we're getting the extreme differences between Stadium Club being that it's cheapest product, and now we're going to be getting the
yeah.
most expensive. So it's a good variety for people to choose from.
Yeah, we get the back to back. That is like the yin and the yang right there. We have the 130, and then who knows what this price is going to be. I'm scared personally to even see what it's going to end up being. But I wanted to pick your brain. Okay, so we have some monster cards in this, man. We have some absolute heaters in this. And does the fact that we have some of these massive cards, like the ones I'm about to show, does this card, the GSP, Jon Jones, Anderson Silva, personally, three of they're in my top five. So this is to me like pound for pound one of the best three guys you could have on a card. And it's their first ever on card auto that they've signed. We have that. We also have this sick, the GOAT, Jon Jones 101 inscription. Because we have some of these crazy cards, we have John signing in this, which love him or hate him, just objectively, you know that he does bring more value to the product, even if you don't collect him. Like it's just a fact. He has a ton of big collectors. So because of that, Damian, do you think that this year, 2025 Topps Royalty, is potentially a better product than the debut 2024 Topps Royalty?
That's a very individual question to say that
Yeah,
it's
it's
better.
fair.
I mean, obviously, you got to take in a lot of consideration in terms of design and everything too, depending on. I think it makes it a. You could say that maybe it makes it a more chaste. I mean, I guess the initial sales, you could say maybe it makes it more interesting to collectors straight away. Obviously, over the long haul, I believe that a debut product is going to be the one that takes priority. But yeah, I mean to say that it's a better, I couldn't say that it is, but I'm not going to say that it's not. Do you know what I mean? Like I think when I think of something better, this is where you and I always think on different levels, which is good too. And obviously people can let us know in the comments as well what their thoughts are. But to say that it's better, I can't really do that either because it's always individual in terms of what people are after to say that it's better or not. But yeah, as personally, not a massive Jon Jones fan, so that also has got to take it into consideration. I'd probably be sticking with the 2024 royalty if I was to pick one of these products,
Nice.
purely
Yeah.
because of the fact that it's debut.
Yeah, no, I completely get that, and that makes sense. I kind of see what you were saying there for a minute about like as far as the chase goes, maybe like the ceiling on this product because of that triple auto, in my opinion, maybe a little bit higher than the 2024 version. Also, we have a little bit better rookies this year. We can't, forget about that. Now we don't have a checklist yet. Who knows what these cards are all together going to look like? So it's like way too early to give a definitive is this product better. But I thought it was kind of interesting to think about because, in my opinion, this card right here that we're showing is like to me this is the best triple auto that these guys have ever signed. It's on card, it's vertical design, it looks good. It has John with the goat on there, which is kind of funny and like showing his personality. I wonder if he was the first to sign that or if he signed it the last and the other guys got to see that card at all. But just a really interesting chase for somebody, and if somebody hits that, dude, who knows what that's going to sell like, but I would imagine it's going to be, a very sought after card in a big chase.
You know we have had that card before, those three autos on the same card before.
Not the on card. It's happened three times. So it's the
Not
first
on
on card.
card, of course. But yeah, first on card, and obviously with the inscription as well. But yeah, we have seen a sticker auto version of those fighters as well from an earlier Tops product. I
Yep.
believe it
Shout
was
out.
MMA rookies.
Yeah, I was about to give him a shout out. Shout out to Henry over at
Yeah.
MMA Rookies because I immediately thought of that. Whenever I saw this, I was like, is this the first ever on card? Because I couldn't remember from the older ones that I had seen. And Henry, he was already in the same spot thinking the same thing, and he found it out. So shout out to Henry. If you guys are not following him on Instagram, checking out his website, you should be because he's doing the Lord's work over there.
He definitely is, and especially even on Instagram. If you
Mm-hmm.
you should be supporting him on his website, but if at the very least jump on his Instagram, the stuff that he puts out is absolutely incredible in terms of statistics and just the knowledge and wisdom that he's sharing with everyone. So it's a great follow for sure.
Yes, sir. All right, Damian. We got the next segment, which is going to be Rookie Radar.
Yeah.
All right, so we got UFC 324. UFC's finally back, man. I'm excited to check out some fights and get to experience what Paramount Plus has to offer. But we have some interesting rookies on this card. I wanted to highlight kind of two guys that we'll talk about today. The first one is going to be Waldo Cortez Acosta, and he's fighting Derek Lewis, man. And I think this could be a big pop-off point for him. He's a big guy. Strike pretty somewhat technical, but he also has big KO power. And you know how it is with the heavyweights, man. They're just going to go in there and swing. So what are your thoughts on Waldo Cortez Acosta? And this is his biggest sale ever at 725 for a 101 rookie card on card auto. So he's actually relatively, cheap if you want to call it that for a 101 rookie auto.
Yeah, definitely agree. 725 for anyone super refractor on card auto rookies. Yeah, I mean that's a good buying price for whoever got that. But I would shot a word of warning to anyone who is looking to get into the heavyweight division, and especially if we're like
Yeah.
speculating on upcoming fighters.
Yeah.
When your heavyweight fighter is known just for absolutely swinging hammer fists, and they're going to come up against other people who are swinging hammer fists, man, that's as risky as you can get in this
Oh
sport.
yeah.
So, who's going to win this fight? No idea. Every time I think Derek Lewis is going to win, he loses, and
Yeah.
every time I think he's going to lose, he just wins the fight in the first 15 seconds. So,
So
who
what do you
knows who's
think?
going to?
Who do you think's winning this round, and then we can just pick the opposite. So who do you think's gonna
I think
take
this
it?
the true winner of this fight is going to be the fans. That's all I can say.
Nice, nice. I like
Yeah.
that. Very technical answer there. Very politician answer from Damian. Damian, I wanted to pick your brain on the first guy, Waldo Cortez Acosta. What is your favorite card that he has, and we'll talk about it.
So there was a few. Initially, I really liked his the rookie auto from Chrome that was in the red parallel, but obviously it's a horizontal design. I'm like, it's not really like it was just that specific parallel because he's got the red shorts on, he had the red gloves, and I just thought that card looked good for a horizontal. But I thought that's not really what picking the favorite card is. That was just like the favorite overall parallel. But yeah, I went with the finest DNA insert I'm not sure why I like this card. What I will say is it's hard pickings to find Waldo Acosta's cards because he doesn't have a whole lot for a rookie for 2025. There's not like he has Chrome, he has a couple of these finest ones, but there's not a lot of releases for him. But yeah, this one for whatever reason I like the bordering. I don't mind the fight DNA. And there was one card that I did like, probably more than this, but I think my boy Zach was probably going to choose this one as his favorite, so I chose something else. But yeah, didn't mind this card for Wardo for him.
Yeah, I like, sometimes whenever we're talking about designs, we have people that are like, why'd they choose this, like this idea? It doesn't make sense for fighting, right? So whenever I saw this card, I was like, oh, fight DNA? Like that's actually, an
Yeah.
idea that I kind of hope that they run with that and kind of explore a couple different avenues because I think you could do some cool designs just off of that like broad idea. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is a cool card and it's vertical, which I know you always enjoy. But yeah, I chose the Radiating Rookie. I think this is a cool one. I like the image of him. He's barking, he's yelling, he looks angry and mean, and also just kind of like the little refractor lines. Like these shine pretty good in person, and I think it's a fun set in general.
Yeah. And I knew you were going to pick this card, so that's why I didn't pick it.
Hey, we could both pick the same one, man. It's okay. We plant the flag on the same island.
You got this one in your hot pocket over there too, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm gonna try and complete this set also. An entire rookie set is very alluring to me. When in years to come, 5 years, I look back and I have all the radiating rookies. Hopefully, a few of these guys really pop off, and I think that would be interesting. I did the Youthquake in was it 2024, I believe, and I
Mm.
really liked that because it had a ton of rookies in it. And so I'm like, maybe I should try and complete this radiating rookie. So I got a couple of them in my pocket. Waldor Cortez Acosta is one of them. Next up on rookie radar, Damian, we had the Madman. We had the Beast, and he's fighting soon as well on this card. And we have Jean Silva. And so I wanted to kind of pick your brain on some of his sales. Also, Damian, I remember we had talked about this card a couple weeks ago. This is his first auto, so that makes sense as to why it, is one of the most expensive and is up here a few times.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Now it
Yeah.
is it is sticker, but
Yeah. No, Jon Silva's making his comeback. Obviously, just fighting against recently, the end of last year, towards the end of last year, Diego Lopez in a fight that was entertaining, but
yeah, it was.
got beaten. Um, yeah, he's coming up against Arnold Allen. I actually think Arnold Allen's a sneaky good pick for anyone who likes to put a little bit of money on the fights. But yeah, Jon Silva, very, very entertaining. I enjoy him not only in the cage, but also his, I guess, more outlandish antics in terms of his personality, which is always good for the sport. But yeah, picking a card for him, there was a few different ones. I was saying this to Zach pre-show. I had a hard choice actually. Jean Silva's been in a lot of products, being one of the favoured rookies, I guess, for this year. Tops are aware of who's popular, who's not. But yeah, I settled. I was going to go to Sapphire Selections, but I didn't. I went with this finishes from Finest. I think it's a really, really good image. This Black Parallel in particular. Um, yeah, I just thought it was a very aesthetic card. So, and it's very fitting for
Yeah.
John Silver to have a finishes, insert, I guess. And as I said, good image as well. You probably won't find this one on too many other cards. This was the one that I went with.
Yeah, no, I love it, and like we were saying about the fight DNA, like I think finishers is another really good thing that they could potentially run with. I don't remember what fight this is from, but I think what was happening in this sequence is like he like knocked the guy down or something, and
Yeah.
was then like, oh, get up, like get up, and so just talking about the antics, like the dude is hilarious. I can't wait to watch Embedded this week and follow him along pre-fight because he is such an interesting guy. Man, Arnold Allen is a great opponent for him though. Like a guy that's never been knocked out, a guy that's going to come to fight. He's pretty well rounded too. So I'm really just from an X's and O's standpoint, I'm very excited to see how this one plays out. Personally, I would probably lean Jean Silva just because I think you have to get him out of there. I think if I don't know if he can go to a decision. I think he's kind of one of those guys where as the fight goes on, like I think he's just going to get angrier and angrier and more aggressive and more aggressive. So I'm very interested to see what happens with Arnold Allen this weekend. But yeah, I went ahead and I chose This one, which is not necessarily a card that I would normally pick, but I love
Mm.
him with the Fighting Nerds glasses. I think that is so fun, man. And I was looking through a couple of different cards of his that he has. I think he has the glasses on in two cards. One of them was a midnight card. One of them was this. I actually really like how chaotic and crazy everything is in the background with the rookies. And then he looks mean with the glasses on with the pose. And I actually thought this one was pretty fun, but kind of a little bit different than a card that I would normally choose.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't seen that one before, but it's definitely like an individual design for sure. As you said, I can understand if a collector was chasing, especially an auto with the glasses on. So
Yeah.
yeah, that one may appeal to certain John collectors for sure.
And it's a rookie, rookie auto can't go wrong. Got the rookie badge with the rookie as writing as well and text in the background. So it's got rookie on there multiple times, which people are gonna like that, Damian.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
All right, next up, it's time to get angry. It's time to get mean. We have agree or disagree.
Agree or disagree?
That is the question.
Okay, so we have a lot of popularity within a specific couple cards that I've been noticing, and one of them is UFC Downtowns, Damien. So the little topic that we're going to agree or disagree on is UFC Downtowns are selling for far too high prices right now. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
This is right up my alley, Zach, as you know, because I made a video a couple of months ago talking about Panini's licensing. I strongly believe with Brian Gray, who was the former CEO of Leaf. He believes that Panini will never hold a license again for either NFL, NBA, UFC. If you sort of take in consideration all this court proceedings that's happening between the sports and Panini, but this is what I like about what I talked about with that video is if we're not getting Panini products ever again, for example, I know that's a big statement and that's a broad statement, but you've got to think of Panini's most famous cards. You know, we've got Kabooms, we've got Prisms, and you definitely could be putting Downtowns in there. Obviously, Panini had the license for UFC for 3 years only. We had Kabooms and Downtowns for 2 of those years, 2022, 2023. A lot of these fighters for UFC have only got one downtown card, have only got one Kaboom card. So for me to be mad at these cards, which are very unique, I mean, you can say what you want about the design. I personally thought the Kabooms were good. I thought the downtowns were lazy designs. I'm sure a lot of other people share the same sentiment, but that's just my opinion. And as I said, if you want to take into account the rarity, the uniqueness, the brand name of these cards, and as I said, some of these fighters only have one downtown. So who am I to say that that's a bad price for people who want to be getting in on those ones for $1,000, $1,500, $700, whatever people are paying? I think that's what those cards are worth because at the end of the day, cards sell for much cheaper than I think they should, and then we've got one selling for maybe more than others think. But as I said, if you want to include those different talking points in terms of the rarity, the uniqueness of these cards, where they're probably going to stand long term, as I said, especially we're talking about we're never getting Panini cards again. We're never going to have the downtown uh, and the Kaboom, I guess, licensing um, branding again, I guess. Yeah, I think these cards could stand the test of time, especially when we're talking looking back on a Panini run of only 3 years for UFC, and we're going to have potentially decades of tops. So we'll see what happens. But I'm going to disagree with this. I think those cards should be selling for what the collectors want, and if they're going for higher prices, then that's what they should be going for.
All right, man, we got an agree this time on this segment. Um, I I'm not even going to touch on everything you hit because that was perfect and I completely agree. I do want to add one thing on why I think there's a lot of value here with these, and it's that because downtowns, because kabooms are very popular in other sports, in NBA and NFL, I think that has a little bit of bleed over within the UFC fans. And I also think they're just used to seeing them, right? It's almost like psychology, like, oh, I
Mm.
know downtowns are worth a lot. Because they're worth a lot in other sports. And then I also think that you get people that are collecting in other sports, NBA, NFL, that are excited about downtowns because they have them in their space and they do really well. So then they might even, if I'm going to buy a UFC card and I'm a collector with other sports, maybe the downtown is the one that I'm drawn to the most. So I think we have a little bit of that to play within the downtowns also. Now, personally, Damian, if you're talking about, do I like this design? Would I pay for this card? I would not at all. I honestly hate almost every downtown that they've ever made. There's a few that I like. I like the Zhang Wei Li. I kind of like Patty's, but not really. I wouldn't buy that one. And I like Yair's. He has a good one. And I also like one more that I can't remember off the top of my head. I didn't write it down. But there's not many that really appeal to me design-wise. But again, like you're saying, that's what's great about trading cards. There's so many different cards that you can go after, and these have a lot of appeal for a lot of people. So it's really interesting to me and really fun to see them selling so well. Like people are really getting excited about these, and they have absolutely ballooned in price. Like I want to say, man, what were they selling for? Like $300 somewhat recently, and within like the last year and a half, 2 years, they've just continued to climb up like crazy.
Yeah, definitely. I think like the lowest, say for maybe some of the less collected, less popular fighters, which there's not going to be many of them because these, I mean, you look at Kabooms as well, they're going to be reserved for champions and the more popular people. But yeah, maybe $200-300 would have been sort of the entry level for them, and then obviously the more popular fighters, you might have been looking 500-700, but now they're up to 1,000-1,200, and yeah. Comparatively, I've been always looking at Kabooms, especially the 2022
Yeah.
ones for my guy Sean O'Malley, and that they're another one that have just skyrocketed in terms of price. I remember, minimum entry for a Kaboom for O'Malley, much along their release 2023, you're looking about 500-700, even raw, ungraded, PSA 9 or whatever, and now you can't touch one for less than $800-900. So getting a little bit priced out, but it's still a card that I would love to have, just purely because all the reasons that you and I have touched on in terms of longevity with those as well. And I completely agree, because those brand name cards are so big in other sports. That's directly what people are going to be when they're coming into UFC cards over the next 5-10 years. That's what they're going to be chasing because they know the story and the prestige behind them.
Yeah, I'm more of a Kaboop guy because I feel like both of them are honestly very similar. They have actually we'll touch on this in a second. Design wise, I like the Kaboom more, but let's talk about this because we were talking about these and I was like, let me look at the pop reports to try and guesstimate a print run. It's Panini. They give us no information on odds. Personally, I hate it. Some people don't care that much, but I'm like, okay, how many of these are potentially out there? We have the highest that we have is Patty Pimblett, and there are 25 potentially manufactured. Are 100% of them graded? Definitely not. So what do we think? Like 30 to 50 maybe? 50 on the high end, like 30 on the low end that potentially were manufactured. And this is for the 2022 downtown. Now, Damian, if we then go to 2023 downtown, that number gets much, much higher. We have the highest is 35 right here from Alex Pereira, and it is a rookie card. We have Dustin Poirier at 32. Across the board, it's basically double what it was in 2022. So, if you do have a fighter that has one in both, maybe and you like the designs for both, maybe the more the rarity is on the 2022 downtown. But again, it's pretty short print. I would estimate even with these on the 23, what are you thinking? 50, probably around 40 to 50. So, somewhat limited in both cases.
Yeah, I would say definitely probably 2023 would probably be 50, maybe even a little bit higher. But that was a great statistic going off the rookies for both of those years. Obviously, two biggest rookies, especially now. Paddy Pimblett coming into 2022, he was a rookie. If you're looking at this is the way I would look at it. If you're looking into grading pop reports, potentially pop reports, you want to be judging off the most popular rookie, because if someone pulls that card right, they know the value behind it more than likely. So they are, and who we're going to send it to? We're not going to send it to SGC or whatever. We want maximum potential return. We want the most prestigious, which is PSA. So that way we can sort of see what the capping is. Obviously, he's had it at 20. Was it 25 for Paddy for 2022? I think that would lean maybe towards. I'd be surprised if it's over 30, to be honest, for
Okay.
2022. Could be wrong. And then, as you said, we got up higher. Pereira,
35,
35. But he easily the biggest rookie from 2023. So for him to have a down count card to be graded with PSA 35, as you said, I'd probably maybe cap that at, yeah, as you said, around 50. I would agree with those odds. But still, as you said, if we're talking, even if it's 50 for 2022, if you want to go, I think that would be the absolute ceiling for 2022. 50 is not many, especially when you're talking about a rookie card, first year debut. Yeah, that's there. These are cards that you should be getting.
Yeah, and it also brings up kind of an interesting thing that I've been thinking about with these short prints, right? Whenever we're talking about collectability and rarity on other cards, we have parallels. There are no parallels with short prints,
Exactly.
Damien. So my
Yeah.
downtown and your downtown, if you have any piece of the pie, you have the same exact share of the pie as every single collector, which personally, I think that's awesome. I really enjoy the idea of everyone having the same card and it not necessarily being like a different parallel. So when you're talking about 50 total cards potentially, right? And who knows the actual number? We're just spitballing here. Let's say 50 total cards. Like if you were to go to look at the print run that's in 25 Chrome, that's in 23 Prism, even 21 Prism, and you count 50 cards, you're gonna stop at like less than it would be less than a Mojo. It would probably be somewhere in between gold and the Mojo. So it's like
Mm.
it's pretty interesting, man.
Yeah, yeah, you're definitely right. You probably would be looking at the gold because we had the disco gold, we had the flat, like, yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so fun topic. They're talking about the downtown, and I feel like maybe we're hitting this guy heavy this episode. We've mentioned him a ton of times, and he's pretty polarizing and pretty divisive. So we might have some people that have already shut the video down and are like, "I'm tired of hearing about this guy." But I had to pick your brain on it. It was one of the, one of the biggest. It is the biggest sale that we've had in 2026. Now, granted, 2026 just started, right? But I want to talk to you about this sale, man. We've talked about this before, and we were like, what is it gonna sell for? It hadn't sold in 14 years, and we finally get a red ink Jon Jones and a really good grade, man. It sold for almost $38,000. What are your thoughts on that sale?
I'm actually surprised it wasn't a little bit more, to be honest. But I think this is where the lack of knowledge and maybe a little bit of education comes into people who are buying these cards, especially at this level. Like you're not getting your average collector, I wouldn't think, paying 38,000 for a Jon Jones card. But
Yeah,
if you want to talk about, I guess um, the importance of this card is this, in my mind, and I guess in many other collectors' mind, this is Jon Jones's second best card, only to the 101 of this card. Obviously, this card, they had the base, which is, I'm not sure what the base is limited to. I'm sure it's not that many, being a round two product, but you've got these at 25, and then you've got the 101, and that's it. Obviously, you've got all his rookie cards from round two as well, without the auto. But obviously, the auto, first year auto, rookie auto is what you want. And then we're not getting the 101. This is the second best card you could be getting for Jon Jones. As you said, really, really good grade for that era. Obviously, whoever had that graded probably got it graded, you would think, closer to
yeah,
2009 than 2025. But I mean, that card, as I said, considering, in my opinion, and I guess others, that's Jon Jones's second best card that you could hold. I think I'm surprised that one didn't go for a little bit more, but I've said I think that one will probably do well over the longer term. And it's anytime we're getting five figures for UFC,
yeah.
especially when we're getting over 20. I mean,
Hmm.
sometimes we hover with some sales. I think when we're breaking the 15 grand mark and we're getting over 30, I mean, these are big sales that UFC needs to continue having. And if is that going to finish as a highest sale for 2026? I doubt it. But
Same.
we have some. I think 2026 is going to be a really good year in terms of not only card collecting, but I think people coming into it as well, fans. And we've got, I think, 2026, man, this rookie class is pretty exciting. So I don't think that's going to be the highest sale for the year, but it's great to have it kick off the year with a good one. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. Honestly, whenever I saw that this was up, I was like, if this doesn't get close to 40 grand, it's a complete flop and a failure for the UFC community. It did get close to 40 grand. I was really hoping for 50 grand, like right around 50 grand. I think that
Yeah.
is kind of where this card should be priced right now for the significance, for what it is. And But when you look at the 101, right? Like this was the biggest Jon Jones sale that we had before, and we talked about this one a while back as well. So it's 20 grand, right? You have an of, and it's a 101. You have a of 25 do 38 grand. That's still pretty awesome, man. Potentially there's, 25 other cards out there that could be 40 grand cards. And I think that the next time this sells, I think it is going to be higher than 38 grand. It's kind of a unique situation, like you were saying, whenever cards are this expensive, and this card had not sold for 14 years. So somebody had to step up and be like, I'm kind of going to set the modern comp here, which is very risky, but you have to have a starting point, and I think each time it sells, it should be a little bit higher and a little bit higher. So I'm very curious to see if we see any more of these pop up and what they end up being. But yeah, I completely agree. While an awesome sale, like I wouldn't be mad, if I sold a piece of cardboard and it gave me 40 grand. Like that's pretty insane. But I was kind of crossing my fingers and hoping that it would be closer to 50 grand.
Yeah, as I said, I think we're definitely in agreement with that. And as you mentioned before, when you're introducing, like regardless of how you feel about Jon Jones and whatever, like you got to understand the importance of certain cards. And as I said, I thought myself that one would have sold a little bit higher, but as you said, getting towards 40 grand is a great sale for UFC, regardless.
Yeah, man, massive, massive sale. Let's talk about some other massive sales, man. Next up, we got pay-per-view buys.
Time for pay-per-view buys.
buys.
All right, Damian. We mentioned it earlier. We got UFC 324 debut Paramount Plus card. Everybody's hyped. I know I'm hyped. First card of the year. What do you have? What are you trying to move for 324?
All right, 324, my boy Sugar Sean O'Malley is now promoted to the co-main event. Sadly, we didn't talk about this, Zach. We're not getting Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison.
I know, man.
My card is going to be an absolute heater with Amanda Nunes,
Oh yeah.
Ruby. But
Ooh,
anyway,
next time, next time.
we didn't save that one for next time. Hopefully that could end up on the White House card and I end up getting $1 million. Maybe I'm going to
Right.
set the record for 2026 with a 7-figure UFC
Oh
card. We can
yeah.
only hope. But this one, I actually, for those who was watching my videos last year, would have known I was very torn in terms of what parallels. I really like this insert. The uniqueness of it, the graffiti chaos art, I thought was really cool. I didn't know whether to get the green. I didn't know whether to get the gold. I ended up getting both. Obviously, this green shimmer, I think, is numbered to 73 or 79, and the gold, obviously, to 50, 49. Actually, it's a gold shimmer. So I'm keeping the gold, selling the green, and just for you, Zach, just for the people, I'm going to run a little experiment on this pay-per-view buys
Okay.
because we don't always have the best, I guess, stats to bring back to the people. But what I'm going to do is for this one, it's not going on eBay. I'm going to be live on Whatnot on the Wednesday
Ooh.
after the fights,
Okay.
and I'm going to put this card at $1, and we're going to run an auction, and we're going to see how we do. I believe I
Nice.
got into this card for, I think it was about 20 USD or something all
Okay.
in. So report back here next collab, and we'll see how that one does at the Whatnot auction 2 days after the fight.
Well, I can almost guarantee you it is going to sell. That is one great thing that I've heard about Whatnot is like if you put anything that's not like, super, super low, somebody is going to buy it. Now, will it go for the price that you want? That's what I want to see. But if he wins, man, if he wins, this is a good looking card. I think you're going to get, a good amount of change for it. Hopefully you'll be in the green, after fees and all that. But even if you're not, you're still getting some money. You're not in love with it. You want to liquidate it. You want to get some more funds so you can move it to some more stuff. So in my opinion, always a good move whenever you're not in love with your cards anymore. And speaking of cards that you're in love with, I know you love looking at this card because I've had it on the screen for like 10 weeks in a row. It's the Umar Cracked Ice PSA 10. The viewers are like, "Oh, we're tired of seeing this." I know, man, but it's like one of the best Umars that I have, and it's nobody's sniffing this thing out or even thinking about buying it. But it's up here again. Um, if he gets a win, if he gets an emphatic finish over Figgy, which honestly he's a tough guy to finish, that would be impressive in my opinion. Now, I don't know if other people feel that way, but Figgy still has a lot of gas in the tank, even at his advanced age. Honestly, the longevity that that guy has had doesn't get talked about enough because he is getting long in the tooth. But if Umar can finish him, does that put him in a title contention? What are your thoughts just kind of in the title picture there? Is it enough? Is it not enough? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I definitely think. Obviously, we've got 4 men fighting. I think if Umar gets the nod, beating Davidson, as I said, depending on the fashion that happens. Same with Sean versus Yudong. I mean, I think either of those two guys, depending if they give him a Rab, I think I
Yeah,
guess for Rab's in the locker room waiting to get his deserved rematch. But UFC are gonna push who they want to push at the end of the day. So we'll see what happens. I think if O'Malley finishes Song, then he might get the nod above Marab, which would be crazy. But as I said, that's the UFC business wise. But yeah, we'll see. I think Umar, I think that card in particular, I think you're going to need Umar in the title picture again. And you're
probably.
also going to have to bring that. So I think we see that card once more. And I also think you need to remind people why that is an important uh, card for Umar,
Oh,
because
yeah.
a lot of people don't sort of remember or weren't maybe around in 2022, Zach. So why is this cracked ice
Yeah. So
a card that you might want to have?
thanks for bringing that up. And I've been trying to preach the gospel on this for a while because I bought a few rookie cards from 2022 stacked rookie class, and the cracked ice this parallel in 2022 was a hobby box exclusive, and it was one per hobby box. And so I was like, man, that's not, like an insane amount of rarity, but it is a decent amount of rarity. So instead of getting like, an of 299 or something, I liked how the cracked ice looks, so that's why I decided to get a couple of these with different rookies. But then in 2023, Panini floods the market with cracked ice as a retail parallel, and I feel like that's in the minds of everyone because it's the most recent, and our brains have recency bias when it comes to things like this. And now I think nobody really respects these for what they should be. So while I know this is not like a gold, it's not an insane rarity, it should be respected a little more than they are being respected, in my opinion. So that's why I have this one priced somewhat aggressively. I believe it's around 120, 150 in there. But it is a Gem Mint 10. It is a rookie card. It is a little bit rare. So to me, I don't want to give this card away either because I am Team Habib. I do like Umar as a prospect. He's still super young. So I'm not going to give it away. But it is a little bit aggressive. But yeah, man, there's still some rarity there. So I'm just surprised that there's not more traction as far as watchers go, especially with him, hanging around that title shot picture. And I know you kind of have to try and sound biased whenever you're talking about Sugar Sean. Uh, but honestly, if he goes out there and knocks out Song, you have Piotr Jan versus Sean O'Malley. That's a banger of a fight too. I could see some people that would want to see that from a stylistic matchup more than seeing Marab again. Honestly, the fight O'Malley versus, and this might be a hot take, the O'Malley versus Jan, I thought was more competitive than Marab versus Jan. Now maybe that's a hot take, but that was a really fun fight, and I don't think anyone would really bat an eye if O'Malley goes out there, really puts it on Song or flatlines him, and then he's right back in the title picture. So really interesting times right now in the bantamweight division.
Yeah, especially, and obviously you got to appreciate anyone who knows this when your favorite fighter's fighting, you got to really appreciate these times, especially O'Malley. O'Malley's not that active in terms of getting out there and fighting, but yeah, anytime he fights, it's always I've got to appreciate it, win or loss. And this is exactly what I wanted for O'Malley in terms of I just want to see him fight, I just want to see him go out and perform. And as you said, if he can go out and stop Song Yudong, who's never been TKO'd, never been knocked out.
He's
That's
got
going
a
to be a
big
big
head, dude. Song's
notch
got
on
a
his
big
belt.
head.
But in saying that, Song Yudong, he's a very very dangerous fighter himself. So I'm excited for this fight. I'm excited to watch Sean fight, and we'll see what happens afterwards.
Yeah, man. He's built like one of those blockhead guys. Like you just look, he's not very tall because I actually got the opportunity to train in the same room with him. He came over to Austin 10th Planet Austin for a BJJ class, and I was like, dude, that's Song Yudong. So I was a little starstruck, but he's not the biggest guy. He's pretty thick, but his head was like bigger than mine, and I'm frame wise, I'm way bigger than him. So it was interesting, and that's why he hasn't been knocked out. So if O'Malley can do it, that is a really big feather in his cap. He also has nukes, and he's very aggressive. So just stylistically wise, I think it's going to be a really fun matchup. And I'm sad that we don't get to see Harrison Nunes. I know both of us are huge fans of theirs, and maybe we can hit on that since we got a little bit time before we both have to go. How much does this hurt UFC 324 not having two title fights in? Like we have, Pimblett and we have Gaethje, but Harrison Nunes was like maybe the third fight that I was most excited about. We don't have that. What do you think that does to just the overall pay-per-view quality-wise of the events?
I think initially it hurts it, but I think the UFC is so good at just keeping the ball rolling. And this is what UFC are best at. They're best at keeping it as the promotion, as the focus, not so much the fighters. And initially, yeah, it hurts it. It was disappointing, but I think obviously by fight week, it's almost like rolled on.
Yeah,
This card was so
that's
stacked
true.
to begin with. I
That's true.
mean, all right, so we miss out on a Nunes and Harrison, but I believe now they've pumped up. Was it I know Silver and Arnold Allen are always on the main card, but yeah, I mean, they've just slid in another awesome fight anyway. So we're still getting the main attraction, which is Pimlet. If Pimlet and Gaethje had fallen through, I think that would have been a much bigger loss to
Right.
this card. But yeah, this card is still so stacked, and they'll make that fight happen. As I said, that could now end up on the White House card, which is an even bigger fight. So we'll see what happens in there. Obviously, Kayla's got to heal up. I completely didn't like. I completely understand. Amanda wasn't going to fight just for the sake of it. There were people tuning in on social media saying, "Hey, Amanda, you want me to step in?" I was like, "Of course she's not going to fight. Just something
No.
random.
It wouldn't make sense.
She ain't
No,
it.
it wouldn't
No.
make sense at all. The only reason she's fighting Kayla Harrison is because Kayla Harrison,
The legacy.
yeah, it like would actually be a good name to add to her list of ears that she's collected from, the people that she starched. To have Kayla Harrison in that list is a good win. If she fights Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena, insert, not popular, not the greatest fighter objectively compared to these two women.
Probably.
Yeah, like it doesn't add anything to it. So I completely agree. There's no reason for her to take anything last minute, and let alone last minute coming off a long layoff. Like she's been off a long time. So for her to risk it against Kayla Harrison, to me, is already a pretty big risk, and I'm happy that she's doing that. But then for her to try and just do it against a random person last minute is a really bad idea. So I'm glad that the UFC aren't trying to push that, and I'm glad Nunes is just saying no to that altogether.
Yeah, no, completely would have made no sense if she had still stayed on this card. But yeah, as I said, we get that one gets saved for another time, and as I said, it was disappointing. That actually, to be fair, that I think I mentioned this too. That fight actually happened soon. I did not expect that to be coming up on the first
Same.
fight card of the year. But as I said, that'll get pushed back to another time, and I don't think it hurts this card too much. This card is still an absolute banger. And speaking of which, we're getting back-to-back pay-per-views, which I had no idea about until about 2 days ago. So I think that's even more interesting as well. And that's another
really
thing.
is.
I said UFC are just obviously it's a Paramount deal. They're trying to go off. They're trying to start off with a bang. But as I said, by middle of next week, 324 will be almost be forgotten because
Isn't that crazy?
325 is right here. Yeah.
Have we ever had
the UFC just roll on as a machine?
Have we ever had a back-to-back weekend pay-per-view? Like I know we've had 2 weeks, I believe, but like a week is insane. And I wonder why they're doing that. Maybe has something to do with like pumping numbers,
sure.
They want the Q1 or something to be really big, so they're doing 2 pay-per-views, or it's just interesting.
Yeah, no, I think it has to be something to do with the trying to get as many fans locked into Paramount in the first a quarter of the year as possible. So and then they want to sort of set a standard for entertainment, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know. I couldn't think of a time we've only had back-to-back pay-per-views. As you said, I think there's been a couple of times where it's been, a fortnight apart, but not week to week. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah,
what are your Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and what sucks for us, like Zach and I were talking about this before, like international viewers, we're not covered under international rights at Paramount. So we got to fork out $70 back-to-back weeks. That's not happening for the average Australian. I'm not sure about Canadians and all that. Like, this is where it sucks a little bit because people are going to have to be torn. International viewers are going to have to be torn as to which one they choose. It's not in many people's budgets to be spending $140 over 7 days for entertainment. So
no, absolutely insane. And I was really sad when I heard about this. One of the back crew members, you talk with him all the time, Damian. You actually had him on your channel. Little Chriso hit me up and was like, "Hey, just to bring this to your attention." And I read a couple articles about it, and I was like, "Dude, I thought Paramount Plus was going to be a broad blanket. You get it. you get it everywhere in the entire world. And I thought that was so cool and so awesome, because I believe it's like that for like Netflix and like other platforms, if I'm thinking correctly, where once you purchase, you get pretty much the whole catalog. And now there are some changes geographically, um, but that sucks, man. And there's really no point, in my opinion, there's no point to even purchase Paramount Plus if you're not getting the pay-per-views included in that. It is not much of a difference from what we had with ESPN Plus, which was not a good experience and didn't really make much sense. So that guts me to hear that Canada, as well as you guys down under in Australia, and maybe potentially the UK, you were saying off air, like, dude, that's terrible. It doesn't make sense. I hate it. It's the barrier to entry is still going to be there for so many people around the world. Um, and I don't even know if this is a Paramount Plus or a UFC issue. It could be like a broadcasting issue with whoever is actually showing it. Maybe the license isn't quite lapsed yet. So maybe I'm being hopeful and thinking that maybe in a year or two things would change, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, as I said, people who aren't following along what we're talking about, it's the licensing rights internationally for the UFC, which the UFC signed a multi-year. Once again, multi-year is not specific, but that's the term that gets used for even trading card rights. But yeah, multi-year deal with Foxtel, KO Sports in 2023. So we've had 2-3 years of that now. This will be the 2026, maybe the third or fourth year, multi-year. I would be hopeful that the end of this year, obviously those rights are going to be up for contract, and then Paramount is going to snap them up. But yeah, for people who aren't already aware, you can get Paramount Plus here in Australia, and you will get the prelims. You will get, obviously, I'm assuming you're going to be getting the catalogue of fights, which makes it interesting as to how often they update them. If you're a Paramount Plus subscriber and you wait 2 weeks, are you going to get the pay-per-view that was shared? So maybe you just got to wait 2 weeks. I don't know.
Hopefully it's faster. Maybe it's only a day or two. That'd be ideal, I think. Is if like the next day it's up and then everybody can watch it. But that's pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah. But yeah, no, basically, so if you're getting Paramount Plus, you're not getting the main card of these. Well, they're no longer pay-per-views in America, but they're still considered pay-per-views for international viewers like us in Australia, and as you said, Canada, and potentially even UK, probably New Zealand as well. So yeah, we have to pay then a lump sum, just like you would with a main event, just like you would with a pay-per-view. I believe it's $60 here in Australia, $70 in Australia per pay-per-view, just to watch the main fights, which, as you said, we were doing years before. We've been doing for decades now, and we were all hoping was going to disappear with this Paramount deal, but not yet. As I said, the UFC international broadcasting rights are separate, I guess, from what you have in the United States. There's different deals that happens, but hopefully in the next year we get some updates, and us international viewers can be watching it on a Paramount Plus subscription instead of still staying on this pay-per-view model, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I am hopeful though. Like you said, multi-year deal. To me, it wouldn't necessarily make sense to try and do that again when you have a behemoth like Paramount Plus in the picture. And they gave them, what was it, like $7.7 billion to get the UFC rights, like
7 years as well.
Yeah,
so it makes no sense to
right. So I'm at least hopeful that maybe in a year or two they will snatch it up, and everyone across the board will have easy access to see the sport that they love, and at a good price too. Because if you're only paying $50 for a flat blanket fee for everything, I'm watching a ton of I watched Liddell and Tito Ortiz the other day, and I thought of you, and Ortiz got smacked. But just a ton of old fights, which is awesome to just randomly throw on, as well as all the new pay-per-views you have embedded on there. Like, it actually is a really cool experience. So I hope everybody gets that experience here pretty soon.
Yep, definitely. And as I said, be watching those old school fights when I first got into the UFC would be pretty nostalgic at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man. Well, thank you again, Damian. Great time talking to you as always. Are we going to be on your channel for the next week's pay-per-view? I guess we got to talk about that after we get off. But great to see you, man, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.
Yep, no, always a good time. Obviously, we'll talk off air about scheduling. We've both got a lot going on in the private world as well at the moment, but we get together and do these as often as we can. We both enjoy it, and we hope all the viewers enjoy this one as well. So we'll be back very, very soon regardless, and always a good time, Zach. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. See you, everybody.